How's it going, Gwent fans? Kim Blacktooth here again, and today we have another deck highlight. The last one went down pretty well, so I'm doing another one. Now this deck and deck type is one that I'm most anxious about, one that I'm most worried about fighting against. I think it's going to be the strongest type of deck, or at least the one that's going to cause the most problems. I have a feeling that you're either going to build a deck to counter this one because it's such an odd deck, and that will make you worse against every other type of deck out there. Or you build your deck general, you know, with the general gist that you want it to beat all the other types of decks, but then this one is going to just completely maul you very easily. So it's hard to beat this deck and beat all the other decks at the same time, because this one has such control, I feel. So here we go. So this deck is a monster deck, and it's called Epidemic Weather. This is a small variant. There's a couple of niggly things you could change. You could interact a couple of things, change them, interchange a couple of things, and it'll still be relatively scary. But this one uses epidemics, and I think that is a bit more scary because the tactics work really well together. And it's made by aRoundofGwent. He's quite popular. He's quite active. He has a blog, so I'll plug his blog in the comments below. He does pretty in-depth highlights, deck highlights, and discussion things as well, so check that one out. That's a pretty good plug for him, which is nice. Hi guys, so here we are in the Gwent database and with the Epidemic Weather deck, and he's chosen the leader card Dagon. I hope that's how you pronounce it. It could be Dagon, but I think it's Dagon. And this allows you to spawn and play a weather card of your choice. And that's really good because this deck is all about weather cards, really. And this, in fact, spawns it. So if you really need a torrential rain, because this deck doesn't have any torrential rains in there, if you really need it, then your leader card can provide, which is really nice. You don't have to have the card in your deck in order to use it. So this is the deck. As you can see, it's again split between melee and range. A lot of decks seem to do this, and that's why this one is so effective. But it also has one card on the siege, which we'll go over a bit later, which is quite a vital card. So this deck is all about weather control. Okay, so you're going to be using Biting Frost and Impenetrable Fogs a lot, and that is hopefully going to completely cripple your opponent and make all their strength ridiculously small. Hopefully one. There are ways around it, but like I said, the opponent would have to build a deck to counter all the amount of weather this deck has, because your average deck won't be able to counter how many weathers you're going to put down. If they clear it once, you can put another one down. If they clear it twice, you might even be able to put a third one down. So most decks won't be able to account for that unless they build specifically for this deck, and that's the kind of problem. So you're going to be placing a lot of Biting Frost, a lot of Impenetrable Fogs. There is a couple of ways you can get rid of siege stuff, like we said. We've got Dagon, the leader card, who could make one, spawn it in, which is really cool. And one of the main combos in this particular deck is the use of weather cards and the epidemic cards here. So Epidemic, if you don't know, is like an inverse Scorch. So Scorch targets the highest strength cards on the board and gets rid of all of them that are the equal strength. Epidemic does it from behind, so it targets the lowest strength cards on the board and then removes all of them that are equal to that strength. So the idea in this deck is to buff up these cards who get buffed in Frost, and buff up these cards which get buffed in Impenetrable Fog, and you'll kind of weaken the opponent at the same time. So they'll go down to 1 strength is the hope. So if they all go down to 1 strength, then you can use an Epidemic, hit them from behind, and get rid of absolutely everyone. So you weather them and then epidemic them. And there's a lot more in depth to talk about that. There's a lot of really intricate strategy that's involved, mind games, that really works well with this kind of combo that we'll get into later. So let's go through the deck for strengths and weaknesses, especially weaknesses, because I don't plan on running this deck, but I'm very scared of it, so I definitely want to see if there's any weaknesses. And see what kind of cards he's put in, what combos well, what synergizes, what his thoughts are, and his win strategies. So the first card he's got is the Wild Hunt Rider. So this is a muster card and is a Frost Walker. Okay, so it gets buffed in Frost, doubles the strength, so it goes from 3 to 6 when there's a Frost in play, which, to be honest, you're going to pretty much try and go for that a lot. You're pretty much always going to have Frost in play if you can help it. If you get screwed and you don't really manage to get many Frost or Weather cards in play, then you're probably lost, because this deck isn't going to be overly high strength. it's all about crippling the opponent's strength. So you are able to actually buff with the Frost and then buff with Commander's Horn, and this is one of the few decks which actually enables that strategy. So they can get up to 12 each, which is really, really powerful actually. So they are Wild Hunt, which is a certain archetype, special subset, which we'll get onto later. But they are muster cards as well, and we've got quite a lot of those in the deck. So these aren't muster, but they're weather bound, and they come out of your deck for free. And you've got the Ancient Foglets, which are musters as well. So this deck has an inherent draw risk. So there's a lot of cards that you want to make sure you get rid of in your opening hand. So you might not be able to get to choose your opening hand too much, because I've got the feeling you're going to definitely want to try and get rid of things that you won't have the opportunity to try and trade weaker things for anything stronger, because you're probably going to keep getting rid of duplicates, because there's 2 duplicate Wild Hunts. You want to get rid of all Foglets, and you want to get rid of 2 duplicate Ancient Foglets as well. So there's a risk of things coming into the hand. The next thing they have is Wild Hunt Warriors. Now these are going to be really strong. If you can get these out, it's going to work really, really well. They don't muster though; they just get doubled in Frost. We've got some extra ways to help bump these out, which is really nice. So they can go to 24 strength each, and we do have 3 of them. But don't forget, these are not musters, so you have to kind of play them, find them into your hand and just play them. They are going to be scorchable, which is scary, because they're going to go to 24 if you Commander's Horn them with Dandelion here. But we do have other ways to get those out. I believe it's this guy, Nithral. He will play, himself as well, but he will also play a Wild Hunt Warrior from your deck. So you don't necessarily need all of these in your opening hand, especially if you have one of him. He is a character, so you can decoy him up. He doesn't seem to have put any decoys in his deck. I think I would actually put a decoy or 2 in my deck for multiple reasons, which I'll go on to later, because I've had a little scan of the deck previously. But they're really good. You kind of want to aim to try and get some of those in your hand. They're going to be like some of your main strength cards after some of these musters. Right, Dandelion, that's for the Commander's Horn. We do have one other Commander's Horn, and that's to try and buff these up, because they will be really powerful. You'll start to get pretty high strength there, by the looks of things. We have an Ice Giant. Now, this doesn't look too interesting. It's just 8 strength, gets doubled in Frost, so it would go to 16, can get doubled using Commander's Horn, so it can go to 32 strength. But it actually plays a larger role, which is really nice to see here, is that these guys are 6 strength, and everything else, is 3 strength and stuff. But this guy will protect them all from Scorch, which is really, really important. You will only lose the 1 card from Scorch, and if you Commander's Horn the row, he's still going to be higher. So he is really, really important in this deck to protect everything else. Otherwise, all 3 of these would go, or if you didn't have those, then all of these would go, and all of these would go. So he's very, very important. Okay, so we're going to skip over this guy for a moment and talk about this hero first. So he's 6 strength, which is pretty nice, pretty average, but it's a nice bump, especially because of the buffs that he does. He's going to be very standard in all monster decks which are running excessive weather strategies. So he casts a free Biting Frost, which is really, really nice. And he spawns and plays 2 Wild Hunt Hounds onto the board, and they have the Frostbound ability. So Frostbound is a type of weatherbound card. So these Foglets have Fogbound, and what that means is they will get spawned onto the board for free from your deck, hand, or graveyard whenever their respective weather is played. So in the Foglet's case, if there's an impenetrable fog on the board, they will get spawned from the deck, hand, or graveyard onto the board and doubled in strength. The downside is the opponent only has to get rid of the weather effect to put them all back into the graveyard. Okay, but you can pull them back out again if you just place another impenetrable fog. So it's a to and throw game. So with the Wild Hunt Hounds, they're 2 strength each, and you get 2 of them, so it's 4 strength. But they will automatically get doubled to 4 strength because a Frost has been played. But the opponent only has to get rid of the Frost to put them into the graveyard. But then you can pull them back out again. It's pretty interesting. So it's a very worthwhile card for this deck. So the reason I spoke about this hero first is because he spawns and plays 2 Wild Hunt Hounds. Now, Wild Hunt Hounds are obviously part of the Wild Hunt set, which is what this hero is all about. This hero has 2 strength, which is really low, but his effect is really unique and really powerful. So he has the very unique effect to have Horde Wild Hunt. And what that does is when he's played, it copies every Wild Hunt card on his row. So this is the melee row. Now, so far we've only actually seen Wild Hunt cards on the melee row, so that makes sense. So you duplicate all of them, and so far we've seen Wild Hunt Riders. So you have 3 of those on the board, and you will now get 6. And we said you can get these easily to 12 strength each. So you could have 12, 24, 36, and then he duplicates all 3. So that's another 36 on top of that, which is really, really good. These are Wild Hunt Warriors, so you could easily get these to 24 strength each. Okay, so that's 24, 48, 72. And then you got another 72 as well, because he's duplicated all 3. And the Wild Hunt Hounds that he made, he would duplicate. So he can just duplicate so much, which is so powerful. Really, really, really powerful. Now, one of the biggest weaknesses to do with this card is that we've clearly seen in the video evidence that a Geralt Igni just completely decimates this sort of strategy, because really you get rid of Frost, so all these Wild Hunt Hounds will get removed from the board because Frost is gone because they got weather bound, and it would also Scorch, so it would most likely take 6 of these guys off. Which is crazy. However, that's why this guy is so important, because he really just protects the entire row from that one Scorch, which is really, really good. Obviously, you could have Geralt Igni Scorch and then just a normal Scorch, but hopefully he doesn't have any medics, which is unfortunate. But he is really, really powerful, but you've got to make sure he might be one that you remove if you don't get much good, but really, the whole deck's based around Wild Hunt, so he's really, really powerful. Right, he shows Ciri Blink. This is quite a common one. He's coming up quite a lot. You have to lose a round to get the most out of this card. So obviously, aRoundofGwent expects to, if you lose the first round, place this just before you lose, before you're about to give up. And if you win the first round, then the idea is to stall the second round for as long as possible. So place that one down, because the opponent has to win the second round. You place that one down. You place your heroes down, I would say. You can banish stuff from the opponent's graveyard, which is really nice. And you're just stalling for as long as possible, really. If you think you've got a spare Impenetrable Fog to place down, not her, of course, but then you could probably do that as well. To just get these on the board and stall for as long as possible. So next we have the Foglets. Now, we've talked about these weatherbound cards before. They basically are free cards. They just come onto the board every time a fog is played from the deck, hand, or graveyard, so they can be reused. They're only 1 strength, but they do get doubled to 2. And if the fog is removed, then they get removed as well. But they are effectively free cards, so the only problem with these is that you might risk getting them in your opening hand. Make sure you don't have any in your hand ever, if possible. You definitely want to have these on the field, or at least used once, so they're in the graveyard before you play any spies. Okay, you don't want to risk getting one of these in your hand, because that'd be crap. Next we have Ancient Foglets. These are exactly the same as the Wild Hunt Riders, except for they're on the ranged row and they use fog instead. So they get mustered out, so you only want 1 in your hand, and the other 2 should be in your deck, and they get doubled in fog. And so you can get these up to 12 as well, but they are not Wild Hunt cards. So if you had to choose between an Ancient Foglet and a Wild Hunt Rider, then a Wild Hunt Rider is a lot better because it can combo with this guy with the Wild Hunt Horde ability. We also have put in Triss Butterfly Spell, which creates a fog effect when placed. Now 11 strength is overly high. That's pretty good. That's very nice. 10 strength is usual. You can get 15 strength cards, but they don't have an ability. 11 is over average, and it's got an ability which is really, really cool. So, let's talk about the only siege card that we have, and it's this lady. And I'm not even going to try and pronounce her name, but she's actually quite vital to this deck. and she is someone that scares me. Because a lot of decks really revolve around melee so far, but I think that's just because of card availability. There hasn't been enough cards to make a decent siege deck yet. But that is something I'm going to aim to try and do when the game comes out into beta, try and make a siege deck. But she is really powerful, because what she does is she acts like Geralt Igni. She scorches the opponent's siege row, and it only affects the opponent's siege row, but they have to have more than 15 strength on that row. So what that's really useful for is getting rid of really high combos. Say if Northern Realms have a really high strength combo on their siege row, she can deal with it. Now, one of the main reasons why she's so important in this deck is because you don't really have any way to deal with their siege if you didn't have her. You could have Dagon spawn a torrential rain, but that's not really overly going to work, I don't think. It's going to work in the short term, but it's not an overall solution. And because your melee row is completely fine, you're going to be biting frost in forever. And the same with your ranged row, you're going to be fogging all over the place. But your siege row, you got nothing. Okay, that obviously is because the meta game so far is melee rows. It's clearly the case. But I would have put in some decoys so you could pick her up and reuse her again and again, possibly. And it wouldn't be wasted if they didn't have a siege deck, because then you could maybe pick this guy up and play another Wild Hunt Warrior in case you had a bad hand. Or maybe you could pick up a spy that the opponents played. You know, there's quite a lot of opportunities, really, to do some good stuff. You can maybe pick him up if the opponent's passed and you don't need him anymore, but because he's very vital to keep everything else safe. So I would probably put a few more decoys in, but this gal is very, very vital to sort of maintaining control on the siege row as well. You don't have much control else. Okay, so special cards. We have one Commander's Horn. That is to try and buff some of these rows along with Dandelion. I do notice we don't have any healers, any medics. Now, I don't actually remember monsters having any yet, so that might just be lack of cards that we've seen, or maybe they don't really have any medics, which is quite important, really. They can't reuse people like Dandelion without picking it back up, which is obviously useless. Right, so a lot of these things are weather cards. Now, what's really good about the monster deck, he chose to put one Bite and Frost in there, which is a bit odd. I don't know why he did that. We've got Dagon, who can spawn any weather card he wants. We've got this, wait, hold on. This guy who spawns a Frost as well. This guy spawns a Fog. So we've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Frosts potential. Now, I guess you won't get them all, so I don't know. I feel like that could be a decoy and you'd be pretty happy with it. But what's really good about the monster deck is they get White Frost, which is essentially a Biting Frost and an Impenetrable Fog. You get the choice. So if you get one of those in your hand, it's really, really good. You get to choose how to use it. But obviously, don't be fooled into thinking that you can have one of those and it'll cover all the bases, because you can only use it once. So, you know, you still need a couple of cards, a couple of them. But he's put in the max of those, which is fair enough. That's going to be really versatile. Right, you got the spies. These are obviously if you plan to lose a round, which he does because of Seri Blink. So probably end of round 2 if you win the first one. You'll place these down to stall and make the opponent waste cards. So now we're on to the finale. Okay, the big cheese, the big mama, Epidemic. It's going to be the worrying thing about this deck. It really does worry me, because it's going to be so useful for them. It's such a powerful combo, such a powerful mind game, and it really, really changes the way opponents will play. So the whole strategy behind this is that you place, say, a Biting Frost down, so they all go to 1, and then you Epidemic them, and all of their 1s get removed. So even if they had like loads of 2s, some 5s, some 7s, and a 9, they would all go to 1 strength, and then they would all get removed. So it's just completely, really, really, really powerful, because it like wipes the whole row apart from heroes, for example. Now there are some things that can protect against it. 0 strength healers, for example, they would protect from behind. A cow would protect from behind. I've always stuck a cow in. He's really good. what's so good about this, the mind game is, if you play Biting Frost, the opponent usually would say, okay, I don't have to get rid of that right now. I'm going to wait for the opponent to pass. You know, wait for this monster player that I am at the moment to pass, and then I'm going to play my Clear Weather, which is, you know, the normal way it goes. But this kind of prevents that. If I play my weather card, and all your stuff goes down to 1, and then you don't clear weather it straight away, I can epidemic you, and that will completely wipe out that row. However, if you do clear weather straight away, I can put another weather card down. So it's a mind game, really strong one, making the opponent play their clear weathers quickly, which is not the way they want to do it, because like I mentioned earlier, unless you build a deck with loads and loads of clear weathers in, which is going to be detrimental when you're facing any other type of deck because it's overly amount of clear weathers, it's just, you're not going to have enough clear weathers to play them quickly. Not to beat these, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Biting Frosts. You're not going to have enough. So, you know what I mean? It's such a powerful combo. It makes them play their clear weathers fast, and if they don't, they lose the whole side of the board. So powerful. And that's why this is the scariest deck for me, because I don't feel like you can beat this deck by building a normal deck. You have to build a deck just for this. It's so powerful. Now in mirror matches, I don't know what the hell's going to go on. It's just going to be a bit of luck there, I think, you know. It's going to be very weird. But best thing you can do against this, put cows in there. Get 0 strength healers if you're Skellige. I know mostly Skellige. They have 0 strength, have Karin healers. They're a 0 strength, so they'll work really well to protect against this type of thing. And then you won't have to play your clear weathers quick, which is useful. So now we're going to try the card draw thing again, where we stick all these cards into cockatrice and we try drawing it. See if we get an overly amount of weather cards. See if we get too many epidemics. How many is too many? I'm not sure actually. See if how many duplicate cards we get of these, because there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards that we don't want in our hand, and we don't want obviously too many weather cards as well. Okay, so here we are again in Cockatrice, and I've built the deck that aRoundofGwent has built. We're going to play a local game and test the card draw. Now, if you haven't seen this before, we just pick loads of cards up and basically emulate the game. Here are all the cards. We've got some tokens down there in case we need them. And so we just pull our leader card out first. That's going to be the first thing we're going to do. And we're just going to emulate the draw, see if there's any consistency issues, see if I get too many frost cards or too many spies, which is not going to be the case. You know what I mean. You get too many of things. See too many duplicate, for example. So we've got a spy, White Frost, Ice Giant, very nice. I'm glad we got him. Epidemic. This guy could be useful. Depends what deck we're fighting. Now at this point, I would know what opponent I'm fighting. I think I know if they're Northern Realms. I'd know if they were monsters or whatever. If they were monsters, I'd probably chuck him in the bin. You know, back in the deck. Because I don't think they're going to have many siege options. They do actually have some weather-bound rain. We've seen the harpies and stuff. So, but for now, in the current cards we've seen, I would throw it in the bin, back into the deck. And if it was Northern Realms, I'll probably keep him. Skellige, I think there's 50-50 chance you can make a reasonable siege deck with Skellige. You'd have to see what the current meta is, to whether you keep him in your hand or not. We've got Wild Hunt Warrior, he's very good. Dandelion. With Dandelion, you'd have to see how good your melee row is. I do have a pretty good melee row. Oh yeah, really good melee row actually. Wild Hunt Rider. So no duplicates there. How many weather cards do we have? We have 1, 2, 3. Which is quite, not overly good amount, but you do want... It's going to be hard to mix, you know, how many units do you have? Let's pretend that I'm not fighting Northern Realms, and we'll throw this guy back into the deck. Can you do that? That did, yeah, cool. Alright, that's obviously not shuffled it properly. Okay. Boglet, okay. Oh, we've got to get rid of that. He comes out automatically, so let's get rid of that. Theory Blink. Okay, reasonable. I haven't got any other heroes, but she's going to be one that I'm just going to stall for time with. So, the game starts. What do I put down first? Ice Giant goes down before Wild Hunt Warriors, I would say. Actually, I could put one Wild Hunt Warrior down first. He is 6 strength. Mithril plays... let's start with a Wild Hunt Warrior. If he scorches it now, then that's fair enough, you know. It's not a big deal if he scorches it now. Okay, what next? We ain't going to play our Frost straight away, unless you want to stall. You could place your Ice Giant down now. If he scorches that, that's what he's there for. If he doesn't scorch it, then that's fine. Maybe play a Weather card now and see what he does, because we can let's keep the White Frost, because that's really good for choice. It's always good to have a choice. Let's play the Biting Frost. Then depends how this first round is going. If this first round is really getting heated and they really want to win it, but I think it's always good to win the first round, because then you can stall on the second round, and that's kind of the tactic I'm going to do with Siri Blink and Katakan. So it's quite important for me to win the first round. So let's do a Wild Hunt Rider. No, wait, we'll leave that. Let's do Nithrel. Obviously, it's hard to estimate this, because we don't know. What's wrong thing? We don't know how much strength the opponent's got. Whatever. But there's 2 Wild Hunt Warriors and Nithrel. Okay, so let's pretend it's running quite low. He's still, if he hasn't clear weathered yet, I could Epidemic him. Okay, but if he has clear weathered, then I need to place another Frost, wouldn't I? So that's a choice. Right, let's say the round has ended. I won it because I'm the best. Monsters get to keep a card. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 cards to keep. Obviously, we want to keep the Ice Giant because he's really he'd protect everything. But to be honest, we've only got Wild Hunt Riders left. So these guys would do just as fine, although he would give more strength. So what we do is we roll a dice. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And we got a 2. You can't see it because it's behind my head. But we got a 2. So 1, 2. We get to keep a Wild Hunt Warrior, which is fine. Unfortunate. Now, yeah, so I don't think we don't have any healers, so can't use all these things again. Right, so what do? This is a round in which we are just going to stall. So the first thing we do is... Now, the Katakan, we don't really want to put down because we know we've got Foglets, which come out for free. So we really don't want to get one of those. But I don't really want to waste Dagon on putting down a Fog. You know, I need him to put down a Frost later. So I'm going to have to risk that Katakan. I wouldn't do that first, because he might decoy it straight away. I'm going to put down Siri Blink first. Okay, so the opponent knows that I'm going to get that back, and that's going to annoy him. But if I win the first round, he has to win this one, so he has to place a card down. And I'm stalling. And then we'll probably place Katakan down and draw a card. Wild Hunt Rider. Damn! Right, there's another problem. So it might have been a lot more prudent to, in the previous round, pull out, instead of placing Nithrel down to get another Wild Hunt Warrior, we place a Wild Hunt Rider to get rid of the muster ability. So that was a misplay on my part. I'm not even playing the game. I'm already misplaying. Yeah, because if I'd have played the Wild Hunt Riders the previous round, then I wouldn't have had this muster, so I wouldn't have got that card from the Katakan. However, if I'd have got a Wild Hunt Warrior from the Katakan, then I still would have had one in the deck in order to pull out with Nithrel. So, just bad play there from me. Right, again, if this is the end of the round now, I get to keep one card. I've only got one card, which is non-hero, so the Wild Hunt Warrior stays. Now, obviously, if the opponent played a Spy, I could keep that Spy. Spy's at 8 strength, so it's probably better, but he gets buffed in Frost, and we're going to use that, so it's actually better for him. Wouldn't it be terrible if Yavin stayed on? Oh my god, if the opponent played Yavin against a monster and the monster deck kept Yavin on the board. If you don't know, Yavin is the card that minuses 2 to everyone on the row. Fucking hell. Right, right, so we've only got Wild Hunt Riders to play, so we'd play those. They're protected. We would... Now, depending on what the card advantage is, I would save my leader card till the very end, so if the opponent run out of cards first, which hopefully would because I stalled, then I'd have the last word with the Biting Frost. Place Commander's Horn, and then the opponent's run out of cards, I place Biting Frost with this guy. Okay, so I'm just curious, what would have been the other card that I'd have drawn? Wow, he would have been a lot better. Now that's not obviously true, that would have drawn him, but obviously, oh man, that misplay's playing on my mind already. Let's do another one, that was good, I like that. What was the idea about that one? Did I have enough weather cards? If I had another weather card, I would have had if I'd have had one more weather card in my hand, might have been better. However, I'd have had one less unit in my hand, so that could have been worse. So it's hard to choose, you know, how many weather cards do you want? I really enjoyed the last one. The misplay was funny. Yeah, really embarrassing. So, Dagon, out you go. Right, draw cards, turn. Right. Oglet, we're going to have to get rid of that straight away. Wow. Wild Hunt Rider, White Frost. Again, I said before, I'd know what deck the opponent's playing, so whether to keep this guy, because he scorches the siege. Are they going to have a siege deck? Now, the more opponents you play, the more familiar you'll get with certain decks. If you're playing Northern Rounds, it's probably a good idea. Skellige could probably make a good siege and a good melee deck. If they're playing monsters, they probably won't. Although monsters do have some sort of harpy things. I think I mentioned it before, so I don't know yet. White Frost again, Commander's Horn. Epidemic. Alright, we've got quite a lot of non-cards there, so that might be a hindrance. Wild Hunt Riders, so we're going to have to get rid of that guy too. Ancient Foglet and Wild Hunt. Okay. So these are the cards that I'm definitely going to have to get rid of, and then I can start making some choices. So really, I've only got one card to have a bit of fun with. Oh shit. I got no cards, so that was what I was talking about ages ago actually. I've spent all my redraws on necessity that I don't have a chance to actually think whether I've got enough units, for example. There you go. I mean, oh man, look. I've got that unit, that's Spy. I got that, and I got that. So, I got 5 units, but I got 5 of those, you know. So, I spent all my redraws on necessity, so I didn't get duplicates. But whether that's actually gonna, you know, see what I mean? You understand what I mean? I didn't get to choose if that was, oh, I don't want him because I'm fighting against monsters and they're not gonna have any siege. I'm gonna have to just use him for the strength. Okay, so what would I place down first? I wouldn't place down my Wild Hunt Riders because that's 9 strength. And that's not necessarily scorchable, but you know they're going to be worth more than that. You know they're at least going to go to 6 sometime during the game. And if I've got a Commander's Horn, you know they're at least going to be 12 each. So it might be worth scorching them. If you did scorch the Wild Hunt Riders quickly, I think it would be worth it. I really do. Even if you didn't get Foglets to go with them, because I wouldn't put down Wild Hunt Riders and Foglets on the same, you know, that's it. Because that's really asking for it. But I wouldn't put them down first, because I think if you got rid of them, it would hinder me quite a lot. So I'm going to put down the Wild Hunt Warrior. If they scorch him, it's, yeah, some pretty high strength gone, but you've got to give them something to use the Scorch on, and so that's what that's there for. Okay, at that point, maybe put down Wild Hunt Riders as well. So we'll pull these guys out. Like that. We're going to have to play a Biting Frost and see if he clear weathers. If he doesn't, Epidemic, blah blah blah, maybe. If he does, then we place another White Frost. And then, you know, Epidemic maybe afterwards. So he's going to be running out of clear weathers here, you know. The question on that Epidemic was, is there enough stuff on the board for that to be worth it? Because I've only got the one. Maybe I'll play this guy if he's got a lot of siege, if he's trying to beat me in strength, I don't know how the game's going to go. And that'll probably be the end of my turn. Did I already use? Oh no, I didn't. Yeah, so that's going to be the end of the turn. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got 4 cards on the board. Oh, did that work? Oh, there we go. I get to keep number 2, which is the Wild Hunt Rider, which seems quite common recently. And so now how do I stall in this particular game? This is round 2, presuming I won the first one. It's very important to win the first one, especially with this type of deck where I think you're intending to give up a round. At least to try. win the first round. I think you can, but you've got to make sure you have something for the next round. I don't have anything apart from Ancient Foglets. But hopefully I'm getting something from this Frightener. It's a dangerous situation to be in. So we'll place the Frightener. And we'll draw a card. Is there... So obviously I haven't placed a Fog down. And so I'm at risk of getting one of those Foglets. Before I do that, I need to consider, should I place a Impenetrable Fog down? You know? Let's say yes, I do. There we go. So there's a Fog down as well. So the Fogs are coming out. All the Foggies. Might not have been a good play. I need a Fog for next turn because of these Ancient Foglets. I do have my leader card. So that's that. You know, that might bait a Clear Weather, I don't know. We'll do the Frightener. At least it's wasting turn, it's stalling, isn't it? That's what this turn's all about. Making them... Because this is where you start making them squirm, you know? You're making them say, oh, I don't want to play this card, but I can't quit because I've lost. So let's draw a card. A Catacan, nice, that's good. That's really good because now we can make them waste another turn. Dandelion. Okay, now we've got a plan. So, now to be honest, it's better if they did Clear Weather because I'm going to have to keep one of these 4 cards. If they Clear Weathered, it gets rid of these crappy ones, you know? So, did they Clear Weather? I don't know. I feel like I'm giving myself the best opportunity, but yeah, let's say they did Clear Weather. There you go. So now the end of the round, and that stays on the board because it's the only one I've got. And round 3. Right, we've got a few things here. 2 Commander's Horns. Let's start by putting that on the board. There you go. So that's on the melee row, like that. And the reason for that is that's going to be 6 strength now, which is going to protect the Ancient Foglets when they come onto the board. Put the Ancient Foglets on the board. Now, all depends on the opponent's card advantage, you know. If they have got bad card advantage, if we're winning, we'll wait to use the leader card and put the Ancient Foglets into play. You may still lose. But yeah, so one of the main things is this is going to be an issue for you, no matter who you're playing here. If I placed my Dandelion down, those Foglets and that Wild Hunt Rider are the exact same strength and Scorchable. If I did my Impenetrable Fog, then those Ancient Foglets and that Wild Hunt Rider are the same strength, which is Scorchable. So the only way to sort of deal with it is to put the Biting Frost down, so that becomes 12 strength, and then you can put the Dandelion there for free and they're all 6 strength. But that's reducing your own strength for that kind of play. But then you could like Epidemic their melee. I don't know, it's a choice. Really nice game, well done, good game. Well done, King Blacktooth, you played it good. And then the other King Blacktooth says, fuck you, you cheated. You used an OP deck. Let's start another game. Okay, that's the final one here. Dagon's coming out. We're going to draw 10 cards and see how we do. Nithral, okay, nice. Epidemic, Wild Hunt Rider. Foglets, Caranthea, really nice. That's good. This is a nice bunch. Oh, wow. Nice bunch. So, is there anything I didn't have? How many weather effects we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 Biting Frost or 3 Impenetrable Fogs, or any mix of them. Really nice. I don't think I'm going to change a thing here. Now, the risk is I could change something, get something better, like Ancient Foglet, but there's no reason to. That's good. Right. Perfect hand. So, what would I do? Again, I wouldn't play the Wild Hunt Riders. I'd start with a Hunt Warrior. And then I'd probably start... So we've got to make a choice. When are we going to use Caranthea? If that's his name. We're going to have to use all the Wild Hunt on one round to win it. Probably round 1. Would be nice. But he's going to have more cards available in round 1. So you're more likely to get Clear Weathered. You're more likely to get Scorched. You know, if you do this on round 2 or 3, he's going to have less available to him because he should have used it already. So we could save it. I know we've used 1 Wild Hunt already. But that's just something you're going to have to make a choice, aren't you? And we've still got 2 available for the next round, which is going to be really high strength. There's not really much I can do. If I don't want to use that guy now, that means I can't really use him now, and I can't use that. I can't use that. I really can't do much. I can only play Ancient Foglets if I don't want to use them now. So let's do hard. I got the feeling those Wild Hunt Warriors are going to be scorched though. That's the worry, because he's going to save those scorches, isn't he? So let's just, I don't know what to do. Let's just do it. Okay, so this is the hard bit, you know. I haven't got the Ice Giants, so it's really, really paining me. So we've got those on the board. There's protected from him. Let's put him on the board. He will spawn out. How do we put tokens into the 8 token? There we go. There we go. Now we're cooking. Create another token. There we go. Right. He's created those 2 tokens. They're Wild Hunt as well. You bastard. Right. So we could use Caranthir. Like now. Now, I know this is only going to create 1 of him. Okay. Where I could theoretically create another 3 of him. But then I think they would use their Scorch then, to be honest. To be honest, I really think they would. If I place Caranthir now, it would give me like 2 of him, right? Like that. Another 1 of him. And I think at that point they'd say, okay, I'm going to use the Scorch and get rid of both of those. And then I could start saying, wow, fuck you, mate. I got another one. Where did I put him? I put him over there. You know? And then I'd use him to get another one for my deck. I really feel like that might be the better play. I'm reducing my overall strength, but I'm really baiting that Scorch. And you would never know whether that would work unless you're in a game. But that's just really something you'd have to do in the moment. And either you'd be a failure or you'd be the god. You know, you'd be the king. That's why they call me King Blacktooth. Right. Now, I may have played too much on turn 1 then. Let's say we got turn 2. 1. Oh, okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. So I counted that weirdly. I'm presuming they did Scorch and all that other stuff. I don't know. 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, so we've got to keep that on the board. So that's actually a negative. Here's something new that you might not have known, kids. All these get removed from the board, right? Because the game is over. The round is over. But what you don't know is I get to keep the Wild Hunt Hound. And it's got the Frostbound ability, where it gets brought onto the board when there's a frost in play. Oh, but what else does the Frostbound ability do? It gets removed from the board when a frost is not in play. So it gets kept on the board, but then the frost gets removed, so it gets removed as well. That is something that you've got to look out for, guys. Be careful about that. That is something which has been confirmed. The deck ability kept it on the board, but there wasn't a frost in play, so according to the rules of Frostbound, and same with Fogbound stuff as well, and Rainbound, they will get removed because there's no frost or fog or rain in play. But they will come out later if you do play a frost. But you just don't get to keep it on the board, which is really, really bad. Okay, so what do we do here? If I won that round, I don't do anything. I guess I just pass immediately. And really, really, this is kind of really bad because I don't get a card for the 3rd turn either. But what we do is, I've got a lot of weather cards here. Did I play any weathers already? I don't think I did, so I wouldn't have this many weather cards. I didn't even put frost down, so that should have gone. I would pass. They would have to use a card not to draw with me if I won the first one. So they waste 1 card, and then it's their turn. So it's effectively, by passing with nothing on the board after you've won, you're 2 cards up. Because they have to place 1 now, and then they win, and then they have to place another one unless you're fighting Squirtle. They can tell you to go first. Okay, this is round 3. I will put a Biting Frost onto the board. Because why not? See what they put down. I will put... If the thing they put down is over 3 strength, I will put my Fogs down. If it's not over 3 strength, I would put my... I don't know. Maybe my Epidemic early on. I don't know. It's hard to say, really. Because if I do that and they scorch it, then that's bad. But there's a lot of bad things that can happen. It's hard to dictate. Put those down. Has he played another melee card? Epidemic, sure, why not? Obviously, unless mine's the lowest, then don't do it. And then Dagon, the last one, for the Impenetrable Fog. And if I do that, then... actually, that's really good. Is it? Might be. When I did the Frost earlier, I should have pulled out the Wild Hunt Hounds. But they don't seem to be here. Pretty weird. Tokens. These would have come back out because of that Frost, which is pretty cool. And then, yeah, these would be when I placed the fog down. These foglets would have come out too, got buffed. So my end result would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then how much are these? 3. So that's 6, 12, 18. And 2, 4, 6. That would have been my end result. That's 24, 30 strength. Don't know if that's enough. It's really hard to tell. The thing is, remember I had a bad hand. I had to use all my redraws just to not get a duplicate card. I don't know if I did have too many weathers. I don't know. It's so hard. Do I take more weathers because they're going to clear weather? This is going to be the issue with this deck, I feel. Getting the right balance between how many weather cards you keep in your hand and how many unit cards you keep in your hand. It can be difficult. Only time will tell. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that one and all the misplays and the new information that hopefully you gathered, especially with this Wild Hunt card between rounds with the Monster Deck ability. And I will see you next time. Take care, everyone. And if you don't, I'll be after you.